So I thought today would be a good day to talk about what is patient advocacy. I just got done with my monthly patient advisory council meeting here at Stanford. I serve on the Neuro PFAC, and so I thought today would be a good day to talk about what is patient advocacy. You know, when you go to a doctor, there I think is an implicit level of trust that the doctor is going to prescribe or advocate for you to have certain procedures, always thinking it's in your best interest. And I'm here to say that unfortunately that's not always the case. And I think I think all people, but particularly people with disabilities, need to consider themselves a conscious consumer of their medical care. They need to be well informed. They need to be made to feel completely the agent of their own care. And if they're with a medical team that's not allowing that, I advocate that you get a new medical team. Now, I understand this can be challenging if you're living in an area where you have limited medical resources, or you are limited in what doctors you can or can't see because of financial constraints or insurance. I get that. But I think no matter what your limitations are, you still have a choice and responsibility in, at the very least, speaking for yourself, speaking up for yourself, asking questions, making sure you understand, making the doctor tell you again or explain it a different way. Because often the consequences can be life and death. As an example that I had pretty recently was that I was having some kind of chronic heartburn. And so I go to a gastroenterologist, and the gastroenterologist, really without even really listening to my complaint much, or even, God forbid, reading my record, wanted to do an endoscopy on me, because that's what he did for everybody. Well, doing any kind of procedure like that on me would be very high risk. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but I don't really have a neck. So there's a very, very, very narrow margin of room in there, and no mobility. So doing an endoscopy would probably mean some higher level sedation, which is another complicating factor for me because of my compromised pulmonary system. And so for what could be a routine endoscopy for a person or a non-disabled person could be deadly for me. So very respectfully to this gastroenterologist, I said, and he didn't want to talk about any other options. That was another red flag to me. I'm like, there's no other test, there's no pill we can try. He's like, no, endoscopy. And I was like, I was very polite with him, and I said, I'm not ready to make that commitment yet. But then when I went and saw my pulmonologist again, who referred me to him, I told him the story, and he was like, he what? And I was like, yeah. I mean, he said, oh my gosh, thank God you did not do that. That could be really dangerous for you. And, as it turns out, with some dietary changes, the problem resolved itself. And I only had the courage to speak up against this doctor because, unfortunately, I've been subjected to poor medical care in the past. I'm not saying that you should be your own doctor. That's not what I'm saying. We didn't go to medical school. They did. But we know our bodies and they don't. And so what you want to find is a relationship. Somebody who's going to be your partner and work with you and not just tell you what to do when A, it doesn't feel right, and B, when you haven't been part of the conversation. And the other thing I'll say about this related to disability, I caution people with disabilities when they walk in with family members or caregivers into an appointment, because often the doctor or the medical clinician will want to speak to the other person and not to you, which is really unfortunate and annoying because they think that you can't be in control of your own medical care, and it's just not cool. That's it. That's what I wanted to say about patient advocacy. If you have any other questions or you want more information, feel free to leave it in the comments below, and I'll try to do my best to connect you with some resources or give you more feedback on my own experiences. Thank you so much for watching. I'm loving the support. My subscribership's growing. It means so much to me. Take care, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.